All right, viewers, welcome back to the formulajonah YouTube channel. We have just been streaming over on Wednesday, but we're back once again for more action to discuss the Detroit Grand Prix, which just finished as of recording this. The Detroit Grand Prix in IMSA, of course, not the IndyCar weekend event. And we're going to be discussing that. It literally just finished right after we started this. And then, of course, as of right now, the 24 hours of Nurburgring is taking place all the way over in Germany. I'm joined once again by David, who's my live stream co-host, and we're here to discuss everything that's going on when it comes to the 24 hours of Nurburgring so far. We're about the halfway mark with that. The Detroit Grand Prix, which was just about a sprint race, about 100 minutes long. And yeah, just discuss the whole weekend of racing when it comes to endurance racing. So, David, how are you feeling heading into this other half, the second half of the 24 hours of Nurburgring? We were just discussing right before this how close the racing is, especially right at the front between a certain Audi and a certain BMW. But what are your thoughts when it comes to this whole weekend of racing right now?
Well, it's pretty crazy right now. He just there's under a second between first and second place. Can I say need I say any more? It's absolutely crazy. It's been an extremely competitive race so far, um, and this is what an endurance fan lives and breathes for. It's it's amazing. So yeah, I'm super happy. Um, Even though I'm not getting any sleep tonight because there's not any safety cars in this race, so no nap time at all.
It's just pure endurance racing fun, and we're true endurance racing and fans, as well as all you watching, as well as we discuss all the action. We're staying up all the way. Viewers, let's take a look exactly of who's leading the 24 hours of Nurburgring as it stands. And by the way, for Detroit and for the 24 hours of Nurburgring heading up to this point, there are spoilers, so I recommend either turning off or pausing this video and waiting until you find out if you don't want to miss out on the action. But here we go. So, right now in the lead is the number 16 Audi. The number 72 BMW is second. These two are in an intense fight for the race lead. And then, of course, it's our favorite green and yellow Grello Porsche. That's the Manti Racing number 911 car sitting in third overall. I guess we should start out with the 24 hours of Nürburgring, then move into Detroit. We want to mention Detroit, and I think that I'll point out that it was an incredible fight for the race lead, at least in GTP. Super intense, and a certain manufacturer took overall victory, and a certain car for the first time in a very long time. We'll get into that in just a moment, but considering there's such an incredible fight going on for the 24 hours of Nürburgring right now, let's talk about what we have in store at the famous Nordschleife layout.
Yeah, well, just to jump in there, by the way, if lights are like in my face and stuff, it's because the race is going on the screen right behind you guys, and I can tell that the 72 BMW has just pitted, so the battle is dazzling down right now,
It's paused.
and we can yeah, it's paused. So we can focus on the stream and talk about what happened earlier in the 24 hours of Nurburgring. Because oh, red flag, red flag.
Oh, what happened?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything yet. Um, yeah, I was about to say this race has been crazy with a lot of incidents, but it just got even more crazy. I feel like.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of
Um,
action, so this is quite surprising to see a red flag. And viewers, if you do see us like turning over to the side of our screens, that's because we're literally watching the race live right now as possible. And if anybody knows in the comments as well what the red flag is, let us know right now. But yeah, there was an incredible fight going on for the race lead. We will talk about that in a moment as we are a little bit, I guess, shocked in some way. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the red flag.
yeah.
We'll keep you updated, of course.
Well, yeah, and that's also a great point because this is going to be a way more chilled stream. Of course, we're going to go into the Detroit and what happened earlier, but it's also going to be a live reaction where we just watch some great racing together and talk about it. So yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what happened right now. So if um,
Well, we've had some weather affecting the track. I think that was pointed out in the
yeah,
comments as well. So maybe that had affected things. Of course,
that's
we
the
know
cause for red flag. Yeah,
that is
I
okay.
mean, yeah, okay. Well, yeah, then we can focus on what happened earlier. I mean, the race started out with a great battle. BMW and the 911 Porsche again fighting for the lead, but it seemed like the 99 BMW had the pace. But yeah, what happened to the 99 BMW, Jonah?
Oh yeah, that was heartbreaking. An incident, a crash, I believe, with a slower Porsche Cup car, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
The
two cars actually.
two
Yeah.
cars, yep. And the 99 BMW, which, as we were explaining just a moment ago, was in the race lead, very strong pace, looking very comfortable at an overall victory. Remember, viewers, this is the row racing BMW, so this is the second of the two cars. The 98, I believe, is still in the race, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, yeah, it
this.
is.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, so the 99 car, this was Sheldon van der Linde at the wheel, BMW factory driver and BMW driver for the number 20 hypercar in the WEC. So you may already be familiar with his name if you're outside of 24 hours of Nurburgring racing. Anyway, though, huge disappointment, heartbreak for the 99 crew, heartbreak for Sheldon in particular, who was on the side just like in total disbelief and disappointment just to see their race leading car overall. This is a race that has over 100 cars in the race, and this is the car that was leading overall out of the race with a crash. And that's what happens in endurance racing, especially here at the Nurburgring. The 24 hours of Nurburgring is known for incidents like this because of how close the track is and how close the racing is. And ultimately, that's just going to happen at some point. So, of course, huge disappointment for BMW, huge disappointment for the row cars and the 99 crew, Sheldon in particular, as I mentioned. But yeah, I mean, of course, even though that car was out, we still got some incredible fighting up at the front. And of course, right now it's that number 16 Audi, I believe, that's in the race lead of the event. And for Audi fans, this is huge. And for yourself, David, I'm sure this is great news as an Audi fan yourself. How great is it to have Audi up front of the 24 hours of Nürburgring?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Also because like throughout qualifying, they didn't look to like yeah they looked fast, but they didn't look to have the pace to fight for overall victory. So seeing them right now leading with I mean, it was a pretty intense fight, but they actually for a time it has just to be clear as well. It has been very mixed conditions throughout the whole way
Mm-hmm.
race in terms of weather, and Audi like nailed it with the wet tires, where competitors like Manti Racing they stuck with the slicks and it didn't work out. They lost 17 seconds per lap for a couple of laps there. So yeah, I'm extremely happy. I could have hoped for the Aston Martins as Armadane with Nicky Tim to be a bit more competitive, but it seems like they don't quite have the pace with that new car yet. But yeah, I'm 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 happy, really happy. What about you, Jonah? Because Glinkenhaus, third place. I don't see it. I'm sorry.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah, it's unfortunate to see Glickenhaus not in the top. And viewers, if you're confused what we're talking about, I made a prediction on our last live stream that Glickenhaus was going to finish in third. Instantly regretted the decision of doing that just because of the fact that I mean, this car they haven't been to the Nürburgring since 2022, so it's been a while since they have been racing at this historic event. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that they had that issue earlier on. Of course, they had the I think it was an engine change, if I'm not mistaken, where they had to start at the very back of the field, so it was already they're already playing catch up. But yeah, they had a transmission issue later on, and this unfortunately resulted in the Glickenhaus moving all the way down to around 120th, 119th place, I believe, when they came out. And they've been slowly making their way back through the field, which is good, of course, but it is unfortunate for Glickenhaus fans to see them down the order. But hopefully, as there is many more laps to come of this 24-hour endurance race, they come back stronger. And of course, viewers, we are in the night phase of the 24 hours of Nurburgring. As of recording this, it is, I believe, around 11:30 p.m. local time. I believe that's the same time for you, David. You're in the same time zone.
Correct.
For me,
Yeah.
it's in the day because I'm over in California, so huge time difference, of course. But yeah, so we got a lot of racing to go under red flag currently, with the rain coming in.
And the fog.
And the fog, right. And that's huge because if you have fog out on track, at a track like the Nürburgring where there's endurance racing constantly, it's night, add on to that fact as well. It's just like almost impossible to race in those conditions. So it's not suitable.
No, it's without the fog and without the bad weather, it's already an extremely difficult track to race at, especially with all these cars. So adding in bad weather, that's not a good cocktail. But yeah, I mean, Nürburgring has delivered as always. And Glickenhaus is not the only bad news we had for the start of the race. A fan favorite, the Team Bilstein Black Falcon, of course with Jimmy Broadbent and Super GT, lost one of their drivers because of a speeding in a code 60 from Super GT. I believe it was 127 kilometers an hour in a code 60. That's no good. And actually, he lost his license to race at Nürburgring. He has to take that once again. So, not the greatest start for that team, but they are leading their class. Or they were leading. It's a bit difficult to follow all the classes with so many cars, but they have been doing extremely well and fighting up at the front. So yeah, what are your thoughts about that, Jonah?
Yeah, disappointed, of course, for the driver. This is not just are they disqualified from the race, but disqualified from participation at the Nürburgring in the future. Of course, if they retake the test, they can rejoin. But this is some could call it very harsh, but also is it justified? Would you say it's justified considering the speed?
Yeah, you're doubling the speed limit.
Right.
I mean, that's and he already acknowledged it. He went out really professional from a guy first time racing at Nürburgring 24 hours. Of course, not his first time racing at Nürburgring, but a extremely professional approach from Steve, and yeah, I'm sure he's gonna get back at it next year. But I mean, they have impressed before, and I hope to see him back and doing really well, because he actually put the car in pole position in the class right before, so the pace was there, but he just broke the rules one time too many.
Yeah, unfortunate news, of course, and like you said, I hope to also see him return to the Nürburgring in future events. I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who's joined so far. Really appreciate everybody coming on to this live stream, especially the time difference. I know it's very late over in Europe for folks living over there. It's probably the best time for folks living on the west coast of the U.S. like me, because it's right at around 2:00. But yeah, in general, we're having good racing. Of course, right now the red flag has come out for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. And so it's good to see so many people involved in following this. I've seen a lot of comments come in on my screen showing a lot of support for the 24 hours of Nürburgring. And yeah, it's been great. I want to mention this real quickly before we continue on with the fact of the 24 hours of Nürburgring. But we are officially in the month of June. It is June 1st as of recording this, and that also means it is 24 hours of Le Mans month. It is finally time for one of the biggest and most prestigious events in motorsport, Le Mans, up next in terms of the endurance racing schedule. And yeah, absolutely ecstatic for that return of a classic event, the 92nd edition of that race. But we'll do live streams on that later on. Of course, we
Yeah.
have a lot to discuss when it comes to this race, because this 24-hour endurance race at the Nurburgring is also a prestigious event, and it has been a pleasure to cover it. We had 2 live streams so far on this event, which is great. That's awesome. That shows that we're expanding on this part, and a few videos on that as well, which is great. I want to point out, when it comes to the Nurburgring, you have a red flashing light on you. Is that from the screen?
Yeah.
I figured it was because of the red flag, and it's showing on David's screen that it is red flagged at the Nurburgring. So we're in a standstill point when it comes to the racing. But I want to point out something real quickly. A particular car that's doing really well at this event, the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo. Very impressive stuff, specifically from the number 27 car. I believe this car was in the race lead for a couple of minutes. I know strategy was a factor as well, but very competitive stuff from the apt car, I believe it is. So very commanding performance from the Lamborghini. Pretty decent pace, I would say. And let's hope they get a good result later on. There's quite a lot of action out on track up until this point. But right now, of course, we're in a standstill point. And is there any indication, David, of when this red flag will be going away, or is it kind of just like standstill moment, and we'll get news soon?
I mean, standstill moment right now. For me, I don't have the sound on because we don't want to get copyrighted. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's still way too foggy for it. So yeah, no. I think it's going to be maybe a couple of hours or something. Hopefully not. We want to see racing, but yeah, it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
we can't like rush the weather to go away. So,
and for viewers that are maybe new to this 24 hours of Nurburgring, when it comes to the red flag procedure, when the red flag is called out, does it stop the clock like Formula 1 does, or does it continue the clock even though the red flag is happening, like the WEC, for example?
I mean, I'm not used to that. I haven't seen it before. I mean, I've followed the race, but I haven't really gotten into detail with it. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I mean, it could happen. It could be the same thing as we saw in Spa, where like they added time back on top of the race, so it's going to be an even longer race than 24 hours. That would be pretty crazy. What I do know is that when the red flag at some point ends, the time differences between the drivers will be like acknowledged. It would not be a restart completely where everybody is bunched up again. They'll take the time back for the drivers, so, or at least try to. It's pretty difficult, but they're really doing a lot to make the race as fair as possible. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, but we'll just have to wait and see. And thankfully also no one got hurt. It wasn't because of a crash. Nothing happened, and with some of the crashes we have seen throughout this race, I'm pretty happy that it wasn't a new big one, because it like they have cost some cars. Yeah, this has been pretty crazy and almost a bit nice to take a break.
Yeah, it's a stop in the moment, I guess. But yeah, you made a good point there that it's good to see that the red flag wasn't caused from a major crash or something like that, because we have seen major crashes so far, like you pointed out. So yeah, it's interesting. Of course, it's the right call here. I would have done the same thing if I was in the position. Of course, I'm not a steward. I'm not an official or anything like that. But as a fan's perspective, yes, it was the right call to do a red flag, considering that it's a very dangerous weather alert. I mean, this is not just about the rain, but this is about the fog. I mean, the visibility is very poor out there, and like I've pointed out before, like David's pointed out before, on a track like Nurburgring with 24 hours of racing at night with so many cars out on track, and considering how narrow the circuit is, it's just not a good idea to go back out on racing. So with that said, We've talked a lot about the Nurburgring. We can come back to that, of course, since this is a video on the 24 hours of Nurburgring. But we should probably touch on the fact that IMSA, the Detroit Grand Prix, is now officially complete. It literally just ended about half an hour ago. And the interesting thing about it is that we are literally reacting right from the get-go of this event finishing. Now, for me, I watched the whole race. Fantastic event. Absolutely incredible. A lot of action out on track. And I believe they are still doing the podium celebrations. They're just finishing up with that, with everything going on. And this is, considering we're also covering the 24 hours of Nürburgring, viewers, I'm not going to do like a quick recap or anything like that. This is just like a full reaction to everything going on during the event. So I'm going to pull up the Detroit Grand Prix results and all that sort of thing. So here we go. We had the number 10 WTR Acura. This is the Konica Minolta Acura GTP entry that took the victory. Finally, this car is on top. Ricky Taylor, Felipe Albuquerque took victory for this number 10 Acura crew, and fantastic to see Wayne Taylor Racing back up on top, not just for Wayne Taylor Racing in general, but for this particular car. We haven't seen the number 10 Acura win in IMSA since, I believe, Road America in IMSA in 2022. So this is the first time that this particular GTP car has taken victory. The 10 Acura has been getting so much bad luck in IMSA for the past couple of years. I mean, 2023, the first 3 races, they lost out on the win with just some unfortunate circumstances. And 2024 hasn't gone very good either. I know they were in a battle with the number 5 Mustang Sampling Proton Porsche in the championship standings, and this is a car that's finished runner-up in very few, in a lot of different seasons. So to see it battling towards the end of the standings is unfortunate, of course, but hopefully this result brings them up. The number 6 Porsche finished in second. We'll talk about that in a moment. And the number 01 Cadillac finished in third. But David, I want to get your thoughts real quickly. What did you think about Acura taking overall victory here at Detroit? First victory for the 10 car, and a first victory for Wayne Taylor Racing since the 12 hours of Sebring earlier on this year.
Well, just before I answer that question, they have just announced that new information from race control will come at 7th hour in the morning. Just for everybody to know. So it's going to be a while before anything happens again at Nürburgring.
That's a good update.
Well, let's get back to Detroit. Yeah, Acura winning. I mean, I believe it's the second race win this season. And yeah, I mean, with a bit of a difficult season. I mean, they started out really badly at Daytona. Yeah, they finished on the podium, but they didn't have the pace to fight for the win. It seemed like at any point really. So yeah, I mean, seeing them win and in a close fight, that's obviously a great result for the team and maybe the first step forward for more like consistency over a season, because it seems like that's what they're lacking. The car has pace. We saw it last year at Daytona as well. Extremely fast. They dominated that race. So yeah, pretty good to see them being competitive, and hopefully they will stay competitive throughout the season.
Yeah, it's great to see Acura finally get that victory with the number 10 car. You know, all the bad luck it's had over the last couple of seasons, and yeah, it's great to see. This race had a lot of incidents, I gotta mention. Of course, it's a street race, so it was expected we were gonna get a few incidents, and we did get a few of them. But it wasn't any major crashes or anything like that. It was more of just like, I want to use the word argy-bargy, as Calvin Fish usually mentions in the commentator booth for the NBC broadcasts. But yeah, that race was definitely entertaining, I gotta say, in both classes. We had the number 6 Porsche starting on pole position. That car led for a lot of the time. Then what happened was the number 6 Porsche made contact. Nick Tandy at the wheel of the number 35 Ferrari, I believe. 24 Hours of Le Mans LMP2 winner with Inter-Europol, Albert Costa, was behind the wheel of that Ferrari for Conquest Racing, I believe. Tandy later described the fact that radio communication issues was an issue in that moment, and he apologized to the team later on. So no hard feelings. But what happened from that is that the car received a drive-through penalty, which definitely impacted that race. I was quite surprised to see how well Porsche Penske Motorsport, and specifically the number 6 car, bounced back from that. They eventually got back in the race lead, which was very interesting and very cool. But in general, I think if that drive-through penalty didn't happen, it's possible that car would have been sitting in first instead of second position. Ultimately, that car was in first position towards the final 30 minutes, but was soon overtaken by Ricky Taylor in the number 10 Acura. The Acura was showing very strong pace towards the end. And viewers, I just want to point out the fact that the number 10 car, and specifically Acura in general, the Acura ARX06, this car, while the heaviest out on track, is the most power, has the most power. So this car very quick and is and very a very competitive race car, considering the BOP, considering the track, considering the performance of WTR. So yeah, the number 10 car, strong pace, was able to take the victory and lunge ahead of Mathieu Jaminet in the number 6 Porsche. The 01 Cadillac finishing third was kind of didn't have a really eventful race. It was in the fight for the race lead at times, but ultimately the car was just there or thereabout. And in GTD Pro, I want to mention that a second victory for AO Racing's Rexy came from Lauren Heinrich and Sebastian Prio. Super fantastic victory for the number 77 Rexy Porsche. Of course, they won last time out at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and it's back-to-back wins for AO Racing, which is phenomenal. Super amazing race by them. And then the second place car was the number 14 Lexus, and I believe third was the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin. The Lexus had damage to the front towards the end of the race. It was missing quite a lot of the front, and still was racing just fine. You know, I mean, I think it was carrying some issues, but in general was still racing, still in second position, and even chasing down the AO Racing Porsche for first. So yeah, to come away with second, considering the damage on the car, is still pretty impressive. I do want to mention the fact, two things actually, and David, I'll bring you in for these two things. In the race, we saw not pile up, but more of like a standstill moment. This was caused from Jack Aiken making contact with Richard Westbrook in the number 85 JDC Miller Porsche, which spun the yellow car, the yellow banana Porsche, around and blocked the whole track. This eventually resulted in all the cars kind of stacking up and really nowhere to go. Eventually things got going again once the JDC Miller Porsche was able to continue. But David, I want to ask you the question. We've seen this before at Long Beach with the turn 11 hairpin, where there's been a blockade, to use a better word, would be nice, but oh well. And then here again at Detroit. So is this something that maybe IMSA needs to look at for the future? Is this something that they need to think about? Like, what if there's too small of a gap, and maybe the GTP cars can't fit around that, or the track needs to make adjustments? But is this something that maybe should be considered in the future, or do you think this is just a coincidence and there's not much to do about it? Oh, I think we lost David on audio. David, we might have lost you on audio for a second. I'm not sure why. Still can't hear you at the moment. I wonder why. You might want to try rejoining and joining back. Okay, David's going to do that real quickly. I'm not sure what happened with the audio. He'll be back in a moment. But yeah, in general, what was I mentioning? Let's think. I was asking David about the blockade and exactly what IMSA could do in the future. Personally, I don't think that there's much need for them to do that, but we'll see. I'm just going to quickly try and get David back in here for a second. Give me a moment. If I can rejoin. Let me just mute my Mac. Okay. David's back. Can we hear you?
Can
Can't
you
hear
guys
you
hear me?
still. I wonder why that's the case. It was just randomly where we just dropped you on audio for the moment. I'm not sure how that happened. Let me quickly check and see if anything happened with the audio. Give us a moment here, viewers.
I'm just gonna try something.
It's very strange. I'm not sure why. Just checking all the audio settings, just making sure that it was just random. So maybe there's an internet issue. Maybe there's something on my end. Let me try muting that. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's the case, David. Is there something on your end maybe that happened? Okay. So I'm not really sure what we can do. Maybe we give it a few minutes. I'm not sure. Maybe you can see if you can do something on your end. Not really sure what I can do on my end. But yeah, basically, fantastic race for the Detroit Grand Prix. Overall, Acura taking overall victory. And then it was the number 6 Porsche in second, as I mentioned, with the Cadillac in third. Also, disappointing race for BMW. Really disappointing race. I have to say they have had the worst luck so far in 2024, and they've yet to pick up a podium. And I'm sad to see that, as a BMW fan, as someone who really likes BMW, it's sad to see that they're having this much bad luck. They're having this many issues. So yeah, it's definitely unfortunate to see where they are at this point with the M Hybrid V8. I believe David is rejoined. Let me just see if everything's good.
You can't hear me, or you can?
We got you back. Still no audio I'm getting at the moment. I'm not sure why. I can see your reaction. Yeah, see, viewers, this is what happens sometimes. We have technical issues, and this is just how it goes. But yeah, we're gonna see if we can continue to try and get David back in here with the audio on. I'm gonna check one more thing. And if not, that's okay. We might need to end the stream early, which is okay. Considering the 24 hours of Nurburgring is on pause, there's not much we can do. We were gonna discuss. We can't. Oh, interesting.
Perfect.
So we have some comments coming in saying that we can hear David, but I can't hear David for some reason, which is interesting. So maybe it's something on my end specifically. Okay, hold on a second. So, David, apparently they can hear you, but I can't hear you for some reason. So let me see if I can fix my end real quickly.
Well, I just thought
How interesting.
My Wi-Fi.
I don't know why my audio just specifically dropped for you, but for me, I can't hear you. I can't hear him. Anyway. We may need to end, and then the best thing to do with these situations, viewers, is to restart the stream. But in general, I don't want to do that, considering that we've already got a bunch of people in here. So we might just end early in general. Maybe pick this up later on, at a later time. Maybe we can do a race recap later on. But in general, David, since they can hear you out on stream, why don't you just give your thoughts on the Detroit Grand Prix? I won't be able to answer since I can't hear you, of course, for some weird reason. But yeah, in general, what's your thoughts on the Detroit Grand Prix with Porsche taking second? Do you think they can recover from this?
Well, I mean, Porsche has been so great throughout this season. So yeah, I believe it's definitely possible that they will get back. I'm confident that they will, because that 963 package so far has been so good, both in IMSA and in WEC. I know it's different BOP, but yeah. So yeah, I feel like it's only a matter of time before they win again. Even taking into fact that we need to take into fact that Cadillac has been on my point of view, the fastest car in IMSA, and throughout the race has been the races has been the clear favorite. But I feel like that German consistency will will uh, will be a key factor at the end. Yeah, Nurburgring got stopped. They will re-announce news. They will announce news at 7 a.m. European time. But yeah, but yeah, I will just text Jonah to make sure he knows that I'm still trying to talk to him, and I'll just text him real quick.
All right. So, unfortunately, I cannot respond. I still am trying to figure out these technical issues, which I specifically cannot hear David for some reason. Um, and that I don't know how to deal with it. The only way I can is restarting the stream, which at the moment I don't really want to do. So, considering the 24 hours of Nurburgring, I'm sorry, David, I cannot respond to you with your if you had any questions or anything like that. So he's cool with it. So considering the 24 hours of Nurburgring is stopped, we've kind of given our thoughts when it comes to the Detroit Grand Prix. We were going to take this time to basically discuss what was going on in the 24 hours of Nurburgring. Of course, we want to show you viewers what's going on with visuals and all that sort of thing, but that requires a more detailed process in order to do that, and it's just not possible at this current time. Maybe in the future we'll try that with future events when it comes to endurance racing and the 24 hours of Nurburgring in 2025. But in general, yeah, at the moment, since the red flag is happening, there's not much we can really discuss, considering that we're at a standstill point. I know a lot of people in the comments right now are wondering what's going on with the red flag. Is it going to continue? David said there's going to be further updates later on, which we will be bringing to you hopefully on Instagram. I'll be posting some updates on that. Viewers, if you have not followed us over on Instagram, I highly recommend that you do so, considering that we are providing updates on the 24 hours Nürburgring Detroit Grand Prix over on that. Of course, I can't really do it here on YouTube consistently since it's a different type of format, but yeah, I definitely recommend following us over there. We'll be giving more updates as the day progresses. But I think that's going to conclude things. I apologize for the technical issues. Something's going on with specifically my audio. I've tried all the settings I can really do, but it's just how it goes, unfortunately. But that's okay. David, I want to say thank you so much for joining me throughout the stream. A little bit of a shorter one, but as I have explained, there's reasons behind that. And the Detroit Grand Prix, absolutely phenomenal. If you guys have not watched the Detroit Grand Prix, I highly recommend checking out the IMSA stream or NBC stream, whether you're in Europe, whether you're over in Asia, whether you're over in the United States, depending on where you are, you can watch it there. And then, of course, the 24 hours Nürburgring is currently live. I believe they are currently... Oh, they're not live anymore. Okay, did they stop the stream?
No,
Okay, interesting.
I'll text him. But the stream is still live, but there's nothing to be shown. They have announced that they will get back in the morning when the weather has cleared. But and I've just heard as well, it's because they can't get the ambulance helicopter at track in these conditions, so it's not safe to run the race if anything happens. So yeah, they have to stop it now, and that's maybe the best thing for safety, and of course a bit sad for us, but then you'll get one more stream, and who isn't happy about that?
Well, thank you, David, for explaining that. I really appreciate that. I'm sure that we'll get some further updates as we continue on. Of course, the 24 Hours of Nurburgring, definitely a fantastic race, but currently no way of racing at this current moment with the weather coming in. And as we explained, we will cover the situation continuously. When the race is over, potentially maybe do a live stream, reconvene, considering we had to cut this one short, to discuss our thoughts on the whole 24 hours of Nurburgring. Although stuff happens in life, so it's possible that we might not be able to do that either. But we'll see how it goes. Of course, we'll continue to update you all on social media when it comes to the live streaming plans, and of course, the 24 hours of Nurburgring's continuation. But that pretty much, I think, completes everything for now. We will be back covering more endurance racing action. If we do not see you for the 24 hours of Nurburgring race review, we will be covering lots of content when it comes to live streams on the 24 hours of Le Mans. And when it comes to videos here on this channel, well, viewers, you know the action. This is absolutely going to be the biggest time for content coming in. I have a video scheduled pretty much for every single day of the 24 hours of Le Mans a week prior to that. So we're working hard to bring you a lot of content. And yeah, that will definitely be an exciting couple of weeks in store. So viewers, we'll catch you all later. Thank you so much for joining us. Apologies again for the technical issues with me not being able to hear David for some reason, but you all were able to hear him and able to hear me, of course. And we thank you all for joining us once again. We'll be back later on. Enjoy your rest of the day and enjoy